Hi everyone, and welcome to day 3 of the Flosstyle Easy Wrap Wallet Sew Along. I hope that you're enjoying the sew along so far, and I hope that you're finding the videos helpful. Tonight we're going to be sewing the zip pocket, the ID pocket, and we're going to sew the two pieces of the wrap together, and then we're going to put the magnetic snap onto your wallet as well. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so starting with the ID pocket, we're going to take the top of the ID pocket, we're going to fold it in half, right sides together. I'm going to sandwich this plastic right up in there against the fold, and you're going to clip it in place. If you don't have clips, you're going to want to find something other than pins, because we don't want to put any pins through the vinyl, because the holes won't go away. So right sides together, jammed right in like that. And then on this side, I'm going to take the strip that we cut earlier, going to turn it into the middle and then fold it in half and place that over the plastic and jam that vinyl right up into that fold again, and then we're just going to stitch across here and across here. So we have top stitched along the bottom bar here, so quite close to the edge, and we have stitched the top here so that it's now attached to the vinyl. What we want to do now is we want to fold this back and we want to press it in place. So you want to do that for both sides. You're going to fold them back and press them in place. You need to be really careful when you're doing that you don't let the iron touch the vinyl. I usually have a piece of scrap fabric or some cloth at my ironing board that I will use to cover that, just in case. If you do touch it with the iron, it is going to melt. So once you've pressed both sides of that so that it's now facing wrong sides together, you want to top stitch just along there, the same as we did on the bottom. So now we've top stitched the top here, that's all in place. So the next thing that we want to do is attach our ID pocket to our card slots. So we're going to place this up the top here and clip in place, and then we're going to top stitch or sew from here all the way around down to the other side, so down to here, and we're going to do that as close to the edge as we can. Alright, so now we have sewn our ID pocket to our card slot. Next thing that we want to do is sew down the middle of our ID pocket to split it into two. So we've got our middle line here, so we just want to extend that up. We want to sew through the bottom here, through the vinyl, and we want to stop just before we hit the fabric up here. Now, because this is vinyl, it is a little bit sticky, and your foot of your machine might have a little bit of an issue with it. So you get some tracing paper, some baking paper, a little piece of interfacing stabilizer, or even just a piece of regular paper. You can see mine is just ripped out of my notebook, and place that over. So what I'm actually going to do is line up the line of this paper with the center and just use that as my guide to sew that center line there. So I've sewn there, and my bit of paper's still there, and then all you're going to do is just gently tear that away. You might get a few little bits like this, but you just need to just gently pull them away, and that will all come away, and then that is your ID pocket done. Okay, so now we are going to move on to our zip pocket. So we have our uninterfaced lining piece and our interfaced exterior piece. So what we want to do is we want to paste our lining piece right side up, place our zipper right side up and align it with the top of the lining piece, and then we want to take our interfaced outer, we want to turn that so that the two pieces are right side together, and we also want to line the top of that up with the edge of the zip here. Then we're just going to clip that in place, and then we're going to sew as close as we can to the zip straight across there. Now we're going to start from this side. When we get about halfway down, we're going to open that up, unzip the zip back to here so that the zipper pull isn't in the way. Now we're going to put that back down and then sew all the way down to there. So we have sewn that line. So the next thing that we want to do is now flip these so that the fabrics are right side together, and then we want to press so that they're both folded away from the zipper, and then we want to top stitch along there to hold that. So I've ironed that in place, again being very careful when you iron that your iron doesn't touch the nylon zipper teeth, because they will also melt with the iron. So what we're going to do is we're going to top stitch this down here. So I'm going to start at this end with my zipper open, When you get to about halfway, I'm going to pull my zipper shut, and then I'm going to continue down the rest of the way, and that's going to stop the zipper pull from getting in the way. Okay, so we've top stitched it. The next step that we want to do is we want to take our outer fabric, so that's the interface one. We want to flip it over the zip and line it up with the edge of the zip there. Now what we want to do is turn it over. We want to take our lining fabric and flip it over the zip again and line it up with that edge there. So you want to clip those two edges in place at the edge of the zip, and then we're going to sew along there the same as we did. Okay, so here it is clipped in place. So we have flipped our outer fabric over to the edge of the zip, and we've turned our lining fabric underneath and over to the edge of the zip. So you can see that all three layers there line up, so with the edge of the zip and all three layers. We're just going to sew down there the same as we did the other side, so we'll sew about halfway, move that zipper pull up to the back, and then so once you have sewn that, that's going to leave you with this shape once your zipper's open. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn that. So I've turned mine out, so you need to then take your lining and push it all the way in, and you're going to want to iron. You can see this is the side here that we have already top stitched, and this other side looks a little bit messy. So what we want to do is we want to iron that fold into place, and then we want to top stitch along the edge of the zip there, the same as we did with the other side. So now both sides of our zip pocket are top stitched. The next thing that we want to do is sew a line of stitches just across the zip here. Normally you would have a little metal prong there, but mine has already fallen off, so you just want to sew just a couple of stitches along the edge there and then just cut off the tail. Okay, so I've sewn my stitching just across there. I've cut off the tail end of my zip, and I've also cut off the tails of the zip on this side. Now the zip pocket is going to be left with raw edges along here because they're going to be encased within the wrap when we put the wrap onto the wallet. Alright, so moving on to our wrap, we want to place both pieces of our wrap right sides together, and we want to sew along the long edge both top and bottom. Now I'm making a flat top opening wrap, and the instructions for this are on page 30. But if you wanted to include the diagonal opening across the pocket here so that you can slide your phone in there, those instructions are on page 18. So we're going to sew these two pieces together along the top and the bottom of the long edges. Okay, so there is my wrap piece. I've sewn top and bottom, and the next thing that we want to do is turn that out. So once we've turned that out, we're going to press it. So this is my wrap. I've turned it out and I've pressed it. This is my inner and this is my outer. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to top stitch. So on the top, which is the larger curve or the outer curve, we're going to top stitch the entire long curve. On the bottom, we're going to stitch from this edge to this pin, and this pin to this edge. Now the pin is there, it's marking the edge of the interfacing. So that rectangle of interfacing that we attached to the outer, we want to sew just to the edge of it, and then stop and just from the edge of it to the end. Alright, so we've top stitched. It's a little bit hard to see the complete top, and along the bottom just to where we had the pin. Now this is the inside of your wrap. Now from here to here is going to be against the back of your wallet, so it's not going to matter about the top stitching there, but this top stitching along the top here, you are going to be able to see that from the inside of your wallet when your wallet's complete. So if you want to make that matching or contrasting, now's the time to think about that before you sew that, because just from here to about here is going to be visible on the inside of your wallet, because this is going to come up and form the wing side of the wallet. This is where the zip pocket's going to attach. Alright, so now we're going to insert the magnetic snap into the wallet. So to insert our snap, the first thing that we want to do is take our pattern piece, place it over our card slot piece, and use a marker or an erasable pen to just mark on our card slots where that snap's going to go. So you can see just here I've marked the center of my snap. The next thing that we want to do is take a piece of heavy interfacing that's about 3 times the width of the fastener that you're going to be using, and you just want to secure that in spot there. So you can still see the mark there. Now the next thing, I'm going to be using this gold metal snap. Now you can see there are 4 parts to my metal snap, and you can see that the gold parts are the actual snap. that's very magnetic. You can see that one piece is considerably thicker than the other. So the thin piece is the piece that we're going to be using on the card slots, and the thick piece is the piece that we'll use on the body. So the next thing that we're going to do once we have fused this interfacing is we're going to use a quick unpick or an owl or something to put some holes through the fabric where those prongs need to go. So if you need to mark it on the other side, that's fine. I'm just going to use my quick unpick and poke it through from the back here. So this is the center of my snap. So this little dot is the center of my snap, and you can see that the prongs are just either side. So I'm just going to take my quick unpick once I've fused this interfacing down and put a hole on either side for the prongs of my snap. So I've used my quick unpick to poke through from the back, and you can see the 2 holes here. That's where we want to place the magnetic snap. Obviously the prongs of the magnetic snap are a little bit wider than that, so we're going to use a quick unpick or a pair of sharp scissors to just make those holes a little bit bigger. Now we don't want to make them too wide, we'd rather that they were a little bit tight and firm, and that's going to help hold that magnetic snap in place much better. So I've used my quick unpick and I've gotten the prongs of my snap through. So the next thing that we want to do is take that other little piece that was in with our snap set. We want to place that over, and then we want to push each of the prongs down. Now this is quite hard and I'm not going to be able to do it with my fingers, but you want to make sure that they are pushed down nice and firmly, pushing that. So I've used a pair of scissors to push those snap prongs down, and as you can see they're now quite firm and that's not going anywhere. So that is the snap there, all nice and secured. So the next thing that we want to do is to put our snap on our outer. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to place our pattern piece over our outer. We're going to use a permanent marker or an erasable pen just to mark where that snap is going. Going to take that away. Going to use our quick unpick to put holes just either side of that for the prongs. We're going to use our quick unpick then to make those holes just a little bit bigger, and then insert our snap and fold out the prongs exactly the same as we did with the other. Okay, so now we have both of our snaps installed and we are finished for the day. I hope you can see that your wallet is starting to actually look like a wallet, and I'm really excited to keep going tomorrow, so I'll see you then.